From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Fazende, riding shotgun as each and every podcast. This is Andre Johnson.
Junior.
Not forget the Junior. Very important, remember the JR at the end of the name. Before we get into today's content, be sure to like, to share, to rate, to review. If you are watching us on YouTube, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, get the bell notification. But when we drop that fire content, and also, hello, Gulf Coast Sports Entertainment Network. Glad you have found us here. We've been here a lot, and glad you have found us here. All right, Andre, I'm back in town. Hello, back in studio.
You're not in a moving car.
Got back. We made it home from the flight, from the drive from L.A. to Orange County, then the flight. A lot has happened since the last time we pod. More specifically, the Saints had another preseason game, but it's good to be back. Believe it or not, I love my time out in L.A., but I was kind of ready to get back. It was a little different flow out there this year, so by the time it was time to get back, I was ready, and here we are. So, Saints coming off of a Sunday tie. Boy, you kind of treat it like a win, though, but the Sunday tie. We don't get into that because I know what y'all want to talk about, and we're going to talk about it too. But first things first, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, schematically, this is a lot easier for us to kind of figure out, let's get the boxes up. Let's get, I'm here, Sean's there, Sean's in the car. He might cut out, he might not cut out. So this is a lot easier. And, we got some football yesterday. We got to see the Saints snatch a draw from the jaws of defeat. Big game for the Saints and a big game for Spencer Rattler, who had his best game obviously of the preseason, but one of his best showings of his very young career on Sunday against the Jaguars. So now we got to take a look back at the quarterback conversation because that's what we've all been talking about. All last week was us saying, Tyler Shough took the lead. Tyler Shough, made it even. So now between Tyler Shough and Spencer Rattler, where do we stand after Sunday's draw against the Jaguars?
So I'm going to do this I'm going to kind of compartmentalize this or piece this together. I want to talk about each player's day. Then when I get into the competition as a whole, because I'm probably like y'all, I'm ready for a decision to be made here. I mean, we've talked so much about this, but there's a reason why we have to keep talking. It keeps going round and round and round. Speaking of rounds, round two obviously went to Spencer Rattler. I think that was pretty obvious from Sunday's game against Jacksonville. Spencer Rattler did exactly what Spencer Rattler needed to do to get himself back into this race. Things had really been, depending on how you viewed it, whether or not Shough was ahead or maybe he narrowed it down, I felt like things had been trending in Tyler Shough's direction probably over the last week and a half. Really, probably since one of the scrimmages, but definitely since they got to California. And frankly, Rattler needed a day like Sunday where he needed to outperform Shough, and that's exactly what he did. And of course, he did it in dramatic fashion, which, of course, sent the fan base of Spencer Rattler into a frenzy. I know because you guys hit me up a lot on social media after it happened. So congratulations. I was very happy with the way he finished the game. First things first, when it comes to Spencer Rattler, he played a lot. Played a lot of snaps. 39 snaps is a lot when you're in a quarterback competition in the preseason, into the second half, into the end of the game with a guy who could end up being your starting quarterback. 39 snaps, a ton, like I said, for a preseason QB competition. Just body language, he played looser. He played much looser, much more free. He even talked about that in his press conference. That was one of his goals, to play loose, to play free. And maybe it was a situation kind of coming in mid-game as opposed to, the build-up to be the starter. I don't know. But he definitely played looser, and his play on the field benefited from that loose mentality. He was better against the blitz. A couple times where he was able to evade a free rusher, a couple times where he completed a couple passes against the blitz. So he played better against the blitz. It's been one of my biggest knocks on him. He extended plays well with his feet off of scrambles. This is the difference between Rattler and Shough. I think when it comes to design quarterback runs, Shough is better. When it comes to scrambling off of a play, I think Rattler is better. And in the preseason, Rattler has used his legs more in those scramble-type situations effectively. I said last week, Rattler has to start finishing games better. That dates back to last year. Well, he did. His 2-minute drill was a thing of beauty. His best drive by far. Poised, accurate, clutch. The touchdown pass was great. The 2-point run was a great decision. He made the right call. It just was a really, really good half of football for Spencer Rattler. good to be happy about, wasn't perfect, enough things to work on to not get a big head about. The interception was bad, maybe more on the receiver than him, but it still counts. Missed a touchdown early in the game on a throw to Dante Pettis on a back shoulder placement, was too far outside. I know the DB got a little handsy, but to be honest, you kind of give and take those because they got maybe one with the PI that set up that play as well. But all in all, there's no denying it. It had been a while since Rattler walked off the field, whether it be in practice or in a game, where he had truly outplayed Shough. Well, Sunday against the Jags, he was doing it very early in training camp a lot, every practice. But right about practice number 8, I think it's kind of shifted. Well, things had turned, but I think Sunday he can walk off the field, and everyone will look at that and say he outplayed Shough. As for Shough, I don't know about you, but I walked into the Dome Sunday thinking a good game from Shough is going to win him the competition.
Absolutely.
That's what I thought, because I thought him another good game where even if he didn't truly outplay him but played well enough in 2 preseason games was going to give him the nod over Spencer Rattler. Had he done that, I think he would have won the competition. Well, that did not happen. What to make of his day? Kind of felt a little like Rattler's first game a little bit. They both seemed a little tense to start the game, a little nervous, a little just, what's the word I'm looking for? They just, it just didn't get into a flow. It just did not seem very fluid. Not terrible overall, but certainly not great, kind of average at best. Again, kind of in the same vein as what I saw Rattler from week 1. 20 snaps, so he had half the snaps of Rattler. And a lot of it had to do with the quick drives by the Saints and the longer drives by Jacksonville. It's just the way it sort of played out. Took him a while to settle in. Not till that third drive. Had the ugly intentional grounding call early. Seemed to be struggling with his footing early in the game, which a lot of players were. It wasn't until he hit that over route to Trayton Welch did it truly feel like Shough was in rhythm in the game. Again, that was in the, second quarter, third drive. Little unlucky with the Olave drop, but hey, you got to battle through that. You got to battle through it. You got to battle through it. When I went back and watched the All-22, he had 2 really big misses. One on a check down. He had a seam route open on a cover 2 coverage to a tight end. I think it was Welch. And on his final snap, the blitz was coming in. He got sacked. If you watch it, Tipton's open on the crosser, and that's his hot route on that play. And Shough's about to throw it. It's like he sees it, and then he gets sacked. It goes back to processing. Can he process things fast enough? Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. So I can understand if there's a hesitation with playing him. He has now given him a reason because he can be a little slow when it comes to processing. If you're slow with processing in the preseason, the regular season is not going to be any easier because they're just going to feast on that. So ultimately, I thought Shough had a overall average day. I thought Rattler had a very good day. I thought it was basically flipped from game 1 into game 2. So that's where just the actual breakdown of the game is. What did you see?
All right, Rat Pack, listen up. Shough Squad, listen up. I want y'all to hear me too. I'm glad we record this podcast the day after the game and not the day of the game, because that lets some of the recency bias fade. Yeah. Some of the day of overreactions, kind of die down. To me, as we sit here, this battle is as even as can be. And for the visual learners, I'm going to put it up on the screen on YouTube and on Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. These are the stats for these 2 quarterbacks through 2 games. Spencer Rattler, 252 passing yards. Tyler Shough, 231. Each has 1 passing touchdown. Rattler is 25 for 35. Shough is 24 for 34. Rattler, that's 71%. For Shough, that's a little over 70% completion percentage. Rushing yards is where Rattler does take the lead. He has 41 rushing yards to Tyler Shough's 1. Rattler has 2 turnovers, the fumble in week 1 and the interception yesterday against Jacksonville. Shough has 1 turnover, the pick 6 against the Chargers. Rattler's been sacked 3 times. Tyler Shough's been sacked 4 times. So I know after yesterday, it kind of felt like, man, Spencer Rattler surged ahead, and he did. He was spectacular yesterday. I will give him the credit that he deserves. All of the things that we criticize him on, I criticize him on the lack of consistency with the deep ball. And we saw him on that pass interference. That was an underthrown ball. He got bailed out by the PI, but later on, he makes a dime to Mason Tipton. That's Beautiful what I'm looking to see out of Spencer Rattler. Finishing games, That game reminded me of the Washington game from last year, where Jake Haener started.
Yep.
It was slow. Spencer Rattler steps in, and he catches fire. He scores the touchdown. Against Washington, he couldn't get the two-point conversion to tie it up. In this game, he gets the two-point conversion to tie it up. So he finished the game. He was good against the blitz. He looked very poised. And like you said, he did put a lot of longer drives together than – he had more snaps than Tyler Shough, but that's because he was putting together longer drives. Now, I've been, I like engaging with you guys. So I go in the comments every now and then, and I talk to you guys. And I know somebody last week said, Tyler Shough got a lot more snaps than Spencer Rattler, so it's not fair. And I said, I got to be, consistent. I said the reason Tyler Shough seems like he got more than Spencer Rattler last week is because Tyler Shough was converting first downs. The reason those drives were longer was because he was making them longer because he was playing so well. Same this time. Each got a half a football, but Spencer Rattler's drives did go a bit longer because he was converting. He was playing good football. So props to Spencer Rattler. But again, as we sit here, I think all Spencer Rattler did was tie this competition because we talked about it after the first week of training camp. Spencer Rattler was running away with it. Then there was a shift, and Tyler Shough started to catch up. And then as you go to Los Angeles, Tyler Shough was better in California than Spencer Rattler, including in the preseason game where I said he took the lead in that competition. And after that, they still had a few more practices. They had the joint practice with the Rams. So to me, coming into this game, Tyler Shough was squarely in front of Spencer Rattler. And like you said, a good game probably could have iced it for Tyler Shough.
Yeah.
Tyler Shough didn't hurt himself on Sunday. I just don't think he did a lot to help himself either. He was all right. He was average, but, when you're average and the other guy is really good, to me, that evens the score. So, no, I don't think Spencer Rattler shot above Tyler Shough. I don't think Spencer Rattler is in stone as your week 1 starter against the Arizona Cardinals, but he did play well on Sunday. A lot of the weaknesses that we've highlighted for him, he overcame those on Sunday against the Jaguars. And to me, he's done enough to even this thing out as we head into week 3. And, both of us would like to see a decision made pretty quick.
And that kind of leads me into really kind of the big picture topic. And you kind of gave your take on the actual competition. I'm going to give mine now. Where does this leave the competition? I mean, are we really back to dead even? I mean, I know the coaches want to name a guy right now. I mean, you don't want to go this far in the preseason without knowing who your guy is going to be. I mean, you just don't. I mean, especially for a rookie head coach, and it's finding himself a little bit. You said, he tied things back up. So that's the question. Did he even things back up, or did he take the lead? I mean, the stats are identical.
Literally. The
stats are identical. Here's my issue, though. This is now 2 games. I'm guessing the 2 games somewhat canceled each other out in terms of the way they perform. But 2 games, neither one has looked sharp with the ones. Now, there's a lot of reasons for that, but that's just the fact. Neither one looked great with the ones, and both had their best days with the twos and beyond against opposing backups and third stringers. Is that a cause for concern? For me, it is, because to me, that goes to show you that no one has gotten truly comfortable in game time situations with the first team. Both guys have been unreal in terms of mirroring the other guys' ups and downs. I mean, to a T, Andre. It's unbelievable. Look, think about it. Deep ball to Mason Tipton from Shough game 1.
Bang.
Deep ball from Mason Tipton from Rattler game 2.
Bang.
Bad interception from Shough game 1. Bad interception from Rattler game 2. Great response from interception game 1 from Shough. Great response from Rattler off interception in game 2 from Rattler. Shough, great 2-minute drill, except it was at the end of half, game 1. Rattler, great 2-minute drill at the end of the game, game 2. The stat line you mentioned, it is insanely close. I have no idea who will win this competition, Andre. I have no idea. And it feels like I thought we were going to have a clearer decision today. And it feels like we are right back to it is dead heat, dead tie again. But I'm ready for him to pick a guy. I am ready for him to just pick that guy, roll with it, Trust your evaluations, trust your analytics. Even if it's this close, who cares? Pick your guy, roll with that player. Neither have truly been great, in my opinion, but both guys, I should say, have given the other guy a chance to win the job, and yet neither one has risen to the occasion and taken the job when given the opportunity. I think both guys have had opportunities to run away with it at this point, and neither one has done it. So, yeah, I'm kind of over it. I'm like, we have talked about this quarterback battle for a long time. It's great for podcasting. It gets the numbers going, so it's great for our analytics. But there were so many things that happened in that game yesterday that we probably won't even get a chance to get to because we still have this quarterback competition settled. And it's just so wild how both guys have just matched each other. Not because they played great, but both guys have been up, down, down. It's like either one, it's like they both had opportunities to take it over, and neither one has. And that's what's made this one of the more unique quarterback competitions that I've ever been a part of. The last one I remember was Jameis and Taysom. And I remember it was a preseason game against Jacksonville where Jameis won it. Yep. He had 2 deep ball touchdowns. It was over. And we walked into the press conference room after. Jameis was all happy. Taysom came to the podium. You saw the look on his eye. It was just, he knew it was done. Kind of ready for that moment now, but it just hasn't happened yet. So I'm just very curious how it's going to go this week. They practice again on Tuesday. We still splitting ones. Is that going to happen the rest of this week? How are you going to approach Game 3? Is Game 3 going to be the deciding factor? Or do you go into Game 3 with whoever that starts that game is going to be your starter Week 1? Because I just have a feeling, I don't have a feeling, I know coaches, they want their guys set so they can get some other things going because there's so many other things they have to address with this team that roster-wise that frankly it just feels like the quarterback competition has gotten the majority of the attention.
Yeah, I do not envy Kellen Moore right now. I'll say that. I do not envy the position he finds himself in because at the end of the day, you don't want to go into Week 3 of the preseason, which is the last week of the preseason these days, without knowing who your starter is. Yeah. You look across the league and you see other teams naming their starters. I mean, today the Browns came out and said, hey, Joe Flacco will be our starter. And they do that for a reason because now your starter can really lock in with the process and the game plan. And instead of, splitting reps 50-50 or in the Saints case, like 40-40-20 if you throw Jake Haener in there, now you're splitting reps 90% to the starter, 10% to the backups, so you'd like to get that guy in there and get him kind of getting used to that process as a starter, especially if it's Shough, who, has never been in an NFL locker room before. So I don't envy the position Kellen Moore is in because I don't think there's a clear answer, If Tyler Shough balled yesterday, then maybe you can go ahead and say, we like what we've seen from Tyler. Like they said last year with QB2, quarterback 2 will continue during the season, will continue to, analyze this, but this is who we're rolling with right now. Maybe that could have been Shough, but the way Rattler plays, you have a responsibility to, open this thing back up and say, okay, it's Shough, it's Rattler. You got to watch them in practice. I think they have to keep splitting the reps with the ones. I think you've got to see them both probably play about a half of football in this last preseason game, and it's not a great situation to be in for the Saints, especially the old saying. If you got 2 quarterbacks, you really have none. And at times during this battle, it kind of feels that way for the Saints.
And look, there's another – I remember back there was the old Bill Walsh days, the 49er days. There was a year where Montana had gotten hurt, so they brought Steve Young in. It was one of the years where he and Young were going back and forth, Montana and Young. It was one of the years they won the Super Bowl. One of his coaches said, and they were struggling. Coaches said, the team is off-centered because – you don't have the quarterback situation settled. It's back, forth. And that's just one example. But it can kind of, okay, who's today, who's tomorrow? And I go back to, okay, so there's been 2 preseason games and 1 joint practice. Okay, so those are the top 3 game-like situations, okay? And check the receipts on this pod. It was on the drive home pod. I'm sorry if I give y'all motion sickness for that podcast. Just wanted to give y'all a different look. I said it was kind of a draw. I don't think either one really excelled with the first team. They both got reps. And then now, Chargers, I don't think Rattler didn't excel with the first team. At Jags, Shough didn't excel with the first team. So you just wonder if the constant rotation at practice for now 3 or 4 weeks has maybe cost a little bit of chemistry when it comes to the first team. It comes to reps of that first team. So at some point, you got to just go with the guy and let that guy roll with the first team. And if you got to change from that guy, so be it at some point. But like you said, there's a reason why coaches sort of establish their guy as soon as they can. You Flacco with the Browns. I saw Jackson Dart was awesome this past weekend with the Giants, but right out in the post-game press conference, Daboll said Russell Wilson is going to be our game 1 starter, or week 1 starter. I think the only other team is what? Maybe the Colts right now.
Yeah, the Colts.
And that's an ugly QB competition as well.
That's horrible. Goodness gracious.
So I'm very curious to see how it goes this week. Is it a positive or a negative that they haven't won yet? I don't know. The reality is this is where they're at. Deuce seems to think that they probably have an idea of their approach. They're just not going to tell us yet. Fine. But if they're still splitting reps this week at practice, you know the competition's still going. If they're ready to name a guy, hopefully Kellen Moore just does it. I mean, there's no sense of letting this hover over the organization. I mean, all we can really tell, has never been publicly declared, is that Haener is not in the mix anymore. Other than that, this is going to last and hang over sort of the preseason training camp portion of the organization, until they decide that guy. They got enough data now. Do they need more? Maybe. It certainly feels like both guys have been put in a lot of situations, fairly identical situations. This is very hard to get the exact number of reps and snaps. In fact, I think Rattler's probably got a little bit more overall snaps in preseason games. But the idea that the games have played out pretty symmetrically in terms of each guy getting similar situations and opportunities, what do you do? And they're still that deadlocked. It's one of the craziest quarterback competitions I've ever seen. And
you kind of run into an issue because let's say, the Saints watch practice on Tuesday, Wednesday, then Thursday, during their walkthrough, they say, we like what Spencer Rattler does. We're going to name Spencer Rattler our starter, And then you go into the game on Saturday. Spencer Rattler goes for 71 yards, no touchdowns, and then Tyler Shough comes out and throws for 222 with 3 touchdowns. Then it's like, well, I just locked myself into Spencer Rattler, and Tyler Shough came out and balled. So I don't expect them to. I think to really put a bow on this quarterback competition, you have to see it to its completion, which means seeing it through Saturday, this final preseason game. I think you let them split reps. I think it's a practice Tuesday, a practice Wednesday, a walkthrough on Thursday. So let one get the reps on with the ones on Tuesday, the other one with the reps with the ones on Wednesday. Then depending on what you see that week, that's how you pick your week 3 starter. And then week 3 is going to have to kind of be the tiebreaker because, like I said, through 2 weeks, I think they're at a deadlock. And let's rewind it. You mentioned receipts. Both of us said at the beginning of the training camp and the preseason and all of that, if it was close, we both thought it would go to Tyler Shough, the highest drafted Saints quarterback since Archie Manning in over 50 years. You put, the second round, pick 40 into him. He's the coach's guy because Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier didn't draft Spencer Rattler. They invested the highest pick in 50 years into a Tyler Shough. So both of us felt like if this thing is close, if it is a tie by the end of the preseason, Tyler Shough would get that nod. That's kind of where we're sitting right now. So, heading into this last preseason game, Rattler's got to come into Saturday like he did Sunday if he wants to win this job and start on Monday.
Look, I will say this. Whoever starts this past week, Saturday or whatever, this week coming up, there's going to be a lot of people inferring that is going to be the starter in the regular season opener. I don't know. Look, they'll find it. They'll pick the guy when the time is right. Who knows what their coaches' meetings are about right now. But, look, we've been talking about it a lot, but honestly, there's a lot more to talk about from this game. For instance, I thought some players really stood out. Mason Tipton has just been a baller in preseason, but he's got to translate from preseason to regular season. The defense, second-team defense, well, I guess the first team didn't really play, but you talk about when the Jaguars backups got in. 3 takeaways, 3 crucial takeaways. Well, I guess no, they got a takeaway on the first drive of the game with the stumble from Trevor Lawrence and then the botched handoff. Jalen Ford's interception was great. Jonas Sanker, who I think that kid is ready to play. He is. I think that safety position was one of those positions we were concerned about, but I think it's been flipped. I think it might be the position of strength this year. Velus Jones Jr. You see that burst? I'm telling you, he was the guy was not on my radar. I was like, okay, it's a decent signing. He's going to be relied upon a lot this year. Edwards-Helaire, I thought some effort plays. So I thought the first team offensive line is still. I know they didn't have McCoy, and obviously they still have Radens instead of Trevor Penning, but I was disappointed in their effort as well. And they didn't run the ball well early in the game either. So there's still a lot to clean up, but I thought some players helped themselves on Sunday as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the big one being Mason Tipton, who has popped off of your screen in both of these preseason games. And you kind of saw it in camp last season. Mason Tipton was one of the stars of training camp last year. He's been the star of training camp this year. He's performing in the preseason. And it's to the point where, I mean, forget making the roster, forget, wide receiver 4. Mason Tipton could legitimately push Brandon Cooks to maybe be, the wide receiver 3, maybe a consistent slot kind of guy. Or maybe you put Chris Olave, who's one of the best route runners in the league, in the slot, and, got your 2 speedsters on the outside in Tipton and Rashid. So, Tipton's emergence brings a lot to this offense. I like what I've seen from, Kendre Miller. He hasn't had that big, breakout run, but he's been, consistent. Velus Jones Jr.'s versatility has jumped out. Jonas Sanker, Danny Stutzman on the defense are 2 rookies. Quincy Riley typically finds his way around the football. Isaiah Stallbird.
I thought you were going to say the other Isaiah. He's not playing well.
Yeah, Isaiah Foskey, hey, we might not see him in black and gold week 1. But Isaiah Stallbird has been, all over the field. He led the team in tackles week 1, and he made some plays yesterday as well. So there's a lot of, different storylines to talk about on the Saints. The problem is the quarterback situation almost directly affects almost every other storyline.
You can almost say Tipton's outplayed Cooks a little bit.
I don't even think that's controversial.
He's getting so many reps, so he's on the field a lot more. They just need a big body because you saw that interception. That's a 6'3" guy. That's Michael Thomas running that slant. That DB's falling over because there's going to be a collision, and Michael Thomas is going to get that inside position. It just didn't happen with Tipton. That's the problem when it comes to the smaller receivers, is those type of plays, because you're going to need that play in the playbook with both of these quarterbacks. It's a simple read. You got to have plays like that in the playbook. So should be another fun week. We're getting closer and closer to the regular season. I cannot wait. So it's going to be another fun week. Stay with me. By the way, Wednesday, I think I'm going to do a roster projection. I think that's going to be our Wednesday pod. How about that? All right, we got to get out of here. For Andre Johnson Jr., I'm Sean Fazende. We'll catch you guys next time on Overtime.